welcome. I'm Shira Adler, host of Synergy Show, and this is a new or new again segment called Fempreneur Focus. I'm so excited to be doing these chats again. Why? Well, one, because I'm a fempreneur. Anybody who knows me should know that. If you're unfamiliar with my channel or any of the work around me, my vibrational wellness products, there you go. Find me here and use code Synergy, by the way, and find me here. Social media, of course. I'm all over the place, but I really love to show up to talk about all things synergy. And yes, my three pillars are metaphysics, music, and medicine. And today's focus is a little more on the medicine side, METASYN, meaning meta synergy. So meta synergy is just really ways of, well, kind of like my own personality, to be perfectly honest, taking synergy of all things about who we are, how we live, how we show up within our own bodies, our relationships, our experience, our communities in the world, and amplifying and expanding that. I'm like the little Energizer bunny that could. I go by various nicknames at different times. Somebody last week called me the metaphysical Mary Poppins. They're like, you come in, you show up, you do your magic, and then you leave to go to the next spot. And I thought, better than Nanny McPhee. I mean, I love Nanny McPhee. I'm just, but I am all about beauty as well. And not in that superficial way, no judgment, but I mean inner beauty. I love highlighting and talking about and sharing and creating things that support the synergy of what real beauty is. And that's why I'm so excited to introduce my beautiful friend, special guest, Karen Ballou, who is the founder and owner of Immunocologie, a truly unique and special company. And you know that if I'm talking about someone's company, it's because they're already vetted. I know who they are. I know why they exist, what they do, how beautifully they do it. She's been a friend and mentor to me for 2 years now. And I'm so, so glad you could join me. Hi, Karen. Good morning,
Thank
darling.
you. Thank you, Shira. I am so excited to be here with you. And, I love this series that you're putting together. It means so much because it's really sharing with others that sometimes they have so many questions about, but we're here in a place where we can really maybe put some of those thoughts, out there for them, help them to make better decisions. And, you talk about, the medicine side of beauty, there's a lot about this that I cannot wait to share with you and with your audience. So thank you so much for having me. And as we are entrepreneurs, one thing about that is how we actually are able to share things that if we lived in worked in a big company, we wouldn't be able to get there, right? And here we have so much to just be able to share and to communicate with in our communities out there. So thank you again. Thank you for having me. And thank you
Oh,
everyone for being part of this with Shira.
oh, you're so sweet. And you're such a generous spirit. And that's what I love best about you, because you encouraged me years ago when I was hitting a speed bump and looking to do some funding. I mean, you're not just a fabulous, beautiful person. You have a lot of wisdom to share and to offer. So very briefly, because people may not know who you are, or what your company's about, how did you get to where you are in terms of your background? Because you have a lot to offer for women looking to create and enhance and build their own businesses. So tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about your background and your company.
Yeah. I went to college really for business, and I really felt as though that was really a good fundamental basis for me, right? And sometimes we don't get there. We don't get to a business school. So there's the business school of hard knocks where we learn from others and we surround ourselves with others that have knowledge, right?
Yep.
And that's good too. That's really good. But I think one of the things that I love sharing when I'm, speaking amongst women or organizations is, there's always a circle in life, and the circle of life is so energizing. And that circle of life is also the sacred geometry, right? That kind of brings us back to many things that you talk about. And it's about that balance in your life. And if you sit down, each and every one of us, and we sit down and we think about the things and we write it down so you see it in black and white, you get to see the things that really make a difference in your life, but what you want out of your
Yes.
life, right? And so one of the things that I did is I actually did this when I was in my 20s, and it gave me a pathway. And what was that pathway? Well, I always knew that I wanted to be able to be in the industry called beauty, but I wanted to be more on that medical side because I really wanted to be a dermatologist. But, life has its way of kind of pulling you in different directions. So you have to either go with it, fight it, or do it, right? And so I didn't fight it. I followed it. And it was part of my passion, part of what I put in my circle. And what I also found out is that because of the business side of it, I also realized how important it was for me to be able to stay on track and be focused on what I really was setting out to do. And two things I just want to say is that one was I always believed that our industry, our cosmetic industry, there are so many facets to it. And, sometimes we think of beauty, we think of it as being sort of superficial. Well, beauty isn't just about being superficial. It's also about what you feel inside about yourself. So there's a lot of mental health that goes on to how beautiful you are, a spirit, how you look, how you present yourself, what you wear. And, that is the character of the person. And that becomes who you are. And that's your own legacy, right? And so, finding yourself, I guess, is the word. And I always knew that I wanted to be there to help others. But I also found myself in a place where helping others, I felt as though that networking was so important, putting people together. And
Yeah.
oh, I know this one and I know that one. And if I put that one together, that might help them. And if it helps them, and before I knew it, I was helping people find money for their businesses. And I realized an important part to that, it's not always easy doing that. And one day I was working on a project which had nothing to do with beauty, but more about what happens with people when they go through aging. And so I worked with a company for 3 years as business director of Caregivers Home Companion, helping those who were in the elderly, but not the elderly so much, but the caregivers of the elderly, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so from that elderly side was fascinating for me because I got to learn a lot. But the reason I'm sharing that with you is because I realized at that point this was important to do and an important part of life to learn about. So I was in an elevator. It was only about maybe 30 floors from the top to the bottom. And you talk about an elevator pitch. And I was able to share with this person within those 30 flights about this caregiver group and raise $5 million for them. And it was fascinating.
Wow.
So, but it's that technique of knowing you need to know what you can say within that short period of time. And that light bulb went off to me and said, how can I help others? And so getting with the right people and bringing together the right people. So I founded a equity fund called Lucas Brand Equity. So it's LB Equity. And we were able to reach out to brands who needed and brands who found us who needed funding and connecting them with, funding. And, funding has to come from a part of who you are as a founder and the spirit, and even that spiritual side of
Right.
what you have to be a founder, to be an entrepreneur, because we all have great ideas. I mean, it could be a cutting board idea to science idea.
Right.
But it's how you actually take that idea and you actually work on that idea and how you focus on that idea and how you don't let your ego get in your way. Because one thing I've found is that sometimes the idea is not just your idea. It's an idea that you bring to a community. But there are some people that are better at knowing how to do the business with the idea than being stuck in a place, right? And I always will
Sure.
say to people, look, I would rather have 20% of a multi-million-dollar company than 100% of a company that maybe makes $100,000.
Right.
So if you have,
Absolutely.
right?
I mean, in
So,
a way, you're coming from that space of self-funding and self-funding, the energy and the core. I mean, that's the part where, you and I have chatted on these crossover lanes. And I think they're becoming wider and broader in business to have a spiritually tinged conversation about who are you in the essence of that entity, and then what are you seeking to see and create externally and bring in and invite in. But it has to start from within. You are self-funding first. You are a self-entrepreneur. You are a quantum self-being. And then everything will line up. And I think it's really powerful what you just said. It is about also everybody who shows up in that community is showing up as a cooperative component, but you're the one speaking it and holding that kernel of actualization.
That's right. That's right. And so it was from that I really saw that I could help others and help them in their guidance as well as to their success. And so the fund has actually now funded about 12 different entrepreneurs, which has been amazing. And one of them has been myself, where they funded Immunocologie for me, which is this brand. I'm not sure if you can see it or not. It's
Yeah,
a
hold
little
it right in front of you. And then there we go. That's
right,
very clear.
right there. So this happens to be my
Yes.
body serum, which is delightful, and it's made with a great oil that comes from Africa, and working with the INAUGURAL protocol and giving back to the communities in Africa. But most of all is the fund allowed me to create Immunocologie. And as I do that, one of the reasons I created it is because 16 years ago, I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. And, something like that is not something that you take lightly, because you have to have chemo and radiation. But it's also one that stops you in your tracks and you say, why me? Why me? And it was really hard. It was hard accepting the diagnosis. It was hard understanding why me. But there's no answer to why me. You just have to understand that, this is what you're dealt with. It's how you deal with it and how you create that positive energy to really get through it. And so I did what I needed to do. I envisioned my 4 beautiful children and being healthy, and I getting to see them and be with them and grow, watch them continue to grow, and their relationships and all of that. And I saw these beautiful flowers surrounding me when I would meditate and visualize. But most important, as I said, in April, I'm going to be so much better, and I'm going to be so healthy, and life is going to be so incredible. And sure enough, when April came, those blossoms, those flowers just were so beautiful. And I can remember seeing the gardens opening up and the flowers. And I thought, you know what? If you don't visualize, you don't get, because you have to visualize. You have to be in that place of meditation and quietness to really go deep into your heart and soul, and to really put that power in there, that energy, and to say, the busyness is important to get things done, but the quietness is the importance of getting the bigger thing done, which is who you are as a person.
You
And so,
self-created. You set it as a command. If you speak it, you
yes,
literally commanded, you tasked the universe to deliver what you
yes,
focused on. That is
yeah,
quantum mechanics. It's law of attraction. You're living the best LOA life. You saw it, you decided, you chose it. You didn't
yeah,
spend time ruminating on the how did I get here. You can understand some of that from other tools that, it's the new alchemy helps a lot with some of those, but you did what is most important. You took the moment and the experience and said, well, where do I want to go with this? And you
that's
made
right.
a new agreement about that. And look what you
That's exactly right.
created. You created from your decision.
Yes, yes. And that's the step from the circle, because in that circle, that helping others in creating a business model that would actually have funding involved with it. And I didn't even know where that one came from, because I didn't even know that really kind of existed in my world. Other than one time, I have to tell you, Shira, was working with Elizabeth Arden, and I was, at one of the stores, and some people that got to know me, and they worked for Merrill Lynch, doesn't exist today. And he said, you would be great in the financial services business. And I said, it's kind of dull and boring to me.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
it
No,
kind of
thank
kept,
you.
right. And I went back and I thought, that's what it means. He was giving me the signal that, I would be able to network with people that actually could help and benefit others by finding them the resources. You can say money, but it's really the resources to help that entrepreneur be, creative and to take that vision and make it a reality.
I love that. And again, it's all part of that. I take everything that I hear from women as wise as you and my dear friends. And I love doing these because I surround myself with smart, beautifully wholeness, and we're all reflections of each other. And it all
Yes.
starts from that self identity, the self resource, the self funding, the self entrepreneur aspect. This is quantum. This is quantum at its best, because then we see and feel and notice the ripples
Yep.
expanding. And look at you. My gosh. I mean, you've done some amazing things. I feel like it was just yesterday, you and both of us, we had daughters with us. Then we were in New York City. We were having that great dinner. We were having these wonderful chats about our businesses, our lives, our families, passing around crystals, sitting in, I think it was Soho. I mean, it was just, we get to choose and decide and be the deliberate creators of our most expansive synergistic lives. And it's
That's
all
right.
from the here's my idea, here's where my passion is, here's how I see myself, and blossomed. Great word, great description. And now you've blossomed immunocology. So I heard a little birdie whisper. Did you just get some kind of ridiculously cool acknowledgement from Blue Zones? Tell them about
I
that.
did. Yes. Thank you so much.
For those
If
who don't know what
anyone,
that is, yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Live to 100
yes.
Secrets of the Blue Zones. It's a Netflix documentary. Tell them a little bit about how you got connected, what's going on with that.
Yeah. So, being part of, I mean, you're where you're supposed to be when you're there, right? You're supposed to be there. And I had the great fortune of meeting the founder of Blue Zones, Dan, and he and I were talking, and then life kind of went on because he's always exploring his Blue Zones. And, one of the things about Blue Zones is about the food that you eat. That's the communication that your body has to the cells. And so anyway, a couple of years later, they were ready. They were ready to see sort of like I call a full circle, what you put in your body, what you put on your body. And so I got to meet the CEO of his organization, and they were just coming out with the Netflix film. So there was like perfect timing. So I am now the official Blue Zone skincare brand for Blue
Oh,
Zone.
cool.
So, and I want to say that, one thing is, we look like skincare, we act like skincare, but we're more than skincare. We're about the grounding of the body. Our vital clay mask is about, it comes from France, that clay, it's enriched by the earth, and that earth brings us grounding. I mean, not only do I use it on my face, but if I have things that are inflamed, I'll put it on those areas. If I get a cut, I'll put it on that. I'll put it on my feet when I go to sleep, just to create a grounding effect while I'm sleeping. So this is a really important thing, because people get caught up, oh, it's skincare. Oh, I don't like skincare. Or, but we need to be grounded. We need to get healthy. We need to be healthy. And we're all striving for that. So I always say, Shira, that, we're out there drinking our green juices, our beet juices. I have one here today, but the one thing that I find, and we're exercising, we're conscious about our food, we're talking about those things, our friends are doing this. But one thing that I find that is not happening is we're not thinking about the whole body and the largest organ of our body, our skin. And so it just so happens that that opportunity to be with Blue Zones is so magnificent. And, many people will in that organization, and I'm talking about followers of Blue Zones, which they have many, and maybe some people that'll be listening to this. The one thing I never want to let people get confused with, we go out there and get organic food, and we know that it is more costly. The one thing that is really challenging within our industry, and this, is that quality over quantity. And so even with your products, it's that quality, it's what you put into it. And, we work with ingredients that come from Africa, from and the rainforest in areas of the world that are really have these incredible plants that are so valuable to our body, and nutrition for our skin. And I work with which is amazing, a botanist. He's an ethnobotanist, and he travels the world looking at plants. And I get to have that time with them to work with these ingredients like baobab and burgundy grapeseed and white grapeseed. These are very, very important, to look at this as a point of differentiation of not just having these ingredients in products that are actually known carcinogenics, or ingredients that are going to set off our endocrine system or our hormones. And people don't know that. So smaller brands can make those changes and make those moves, such as what Immunocologie is about. Like even with my lava mask, right? My lava mask, if you can see this, is it a little blurry?
Yeah, it's a little blur. Pull it right up, back it up a teeny bit, and
There. Is that,
there it
we
is.
can, somehow it gets blurry and then it doesn't. So the
Yeah.
lava mask is actually from lava that we actually source here in America. Believe it or not, it comes from Utah. There are 3 ingredients in this product. The 3 ingredients: lava, it has marine algae, which is good for your collagen, and hibiscus, which is about the inflammation. So when you take those 3 things and you put warmth to it, because when you put water into this package, the one thing about that is that it gets warmed up, and that warmth that goes on the skin opens up the pores. And if you put a beautiful serum on the skin, you're feeding that skin, like juicing for the skin, and that heat allows that to happen.
Oh, I
So,
love that. You have to send me one of
right?
those. I haven't tried that.
I know that's a new one since we've seen each other. It
Okay.
is amazing. Great for airplanes, by the way. If you're traveling, you get this on the air, put it on and you're just go back and go to sleep. And of course, everybody's looking at you like,
Oh, who cares? I'll be like, here,
who
I
is
give you some.
she?
I
Yes.
grab my sprays, same thing. I use them, and people go, well, what is that? And they smell it, they see it. Like, I'm in my zone, baby. You want some? Here
Yeah.
you go. That's what we do.
Exactly. So, this is so important because these ingredients. So, I know we're not here to talk about immunology in each product, but I just wanted to point out that this is a very important part of our being, is to be able to feed our skin and make sure that we're not putting those disruptors on our body. And those disruptors are actually not healthy for us. And so, as a cancer survivor, I'm very conscious of what we are putting on our body, what we're wearing on our body as well. And so I have that conversation with so many people and building communities out there who are like-minded, like you and I are, and helping people to understand this. So as an entrepreneur, and we build our community, we're building a community to help them be safe and help them be, what I think is most important, is feel good about themselves. And that mental wellness is about how we can feel good about ourselves every day.
I love that. And I love you. And I'm so grateful that you spent time with me. And first of all, it's always great to see you. And
Oh,
since I don't live in New York anymore, if
I
this is how we do
know.
it,
Me
this is how we
too.
do it. I know. I miss you too, honey pie. And this is just such a joy because, as I've said, part of my journey as a woman, as a business owner, as a mom, and just another beautiful goddess energy, this is where I choose to spend my time and my focus and sharing this space. Because ultimately, we both are trying to create, and we do support each other in light and in love, and through these beautiful products and the harmony that we create and the synergy we create. And we want to see and be a part of the world that's just full of the blossoming of these flowers, where we can even let go of the language of where we came from and those identified, previously aligned, previously identified states of dis-ease, into the clarity of what we do want: grounding, connection, bringing together ingredients and the people whose hands and hearts touch them from all over the globe into our own living rooms, into our own spaces, into our own heart. So, Karen, thank you so much. I'll have all the
Thank
links
you.
below for where people can find you. Come back soon and often. And I really
Thank you.
greatly appreciate you. Namaste, my love.
Well, I appreciate you. And I just want to say thank you for having me. And I'm so, just my heart feels so much to be part of this community with you and our friendship.